Hello again, I'm Rob, and this is Every Last One, Every Last One, your weekly escape from the exhaustion of modern life, where you can watch a middle-aged man waffling on about his favorite music. If there's one thing I've learned in the short time I've had this channel, YouTube loves sequels. I've already done my Depeche Mode albums ranked video, link to that in the description. Might as well dive even deeper into their discography. So stick around, because today we're going to discuss building tracks from the sound of breaking wood, channel surfing through reverb effects, and imaginary films about Elvis as the devil. This is my Depeche Mode Top 15 B-Sides ranked. Quick bit of housekeeping before we start. This list will not contain the song Fly on the Windscreen. While it was originally a B-side to the single It's Called a Heart, it was upgraded to album track status via a remix on Black Celebration. My list will also not contain Death's Door. That tune was originally released on the soundtrack to the film Until the End of the World, and later the jazz mix of Death's Door was released as a B-side to the single Condemnation. Both great tracks, but by excluding them I can cover other favorites. Next, from 2009, Depeche Mode stopped releasing traditional B-sides and would simply release their extras as bonus tracks, so there will be a couple of those included. Finally, this list is based on my own personal enjoyment with their music. Obviously, lists like this are entirely subjective and yours might be different, and that's okay. All right, let's get into it. At number 15, I have Ghost. How did this get left off of Sounds of the Universe? Were they just trying to get people to buy this overkill, lavish box set? Love those thick opening synths, including this one riff that reminds me of late 70s era Kraftwerk. Classic Martin lyrics, performed exceptionally by Dave. Ghost is a nice playlist companion to World in My Eyes and Lie to Me with its slow, sultry groove. My only notes are that the ending is unnecessarily drawn out. The Lil Weeknd remix of Ghost is one of my favorite late period DM remixes, and really shows how this song, with a little finesse, could have actually been a solid late era single for the Mode. I gotta do a DM remix episode sometime. At number 14, All That's Mine. Like a ship on the ocean, heading out to sea. I spoke about this one in my Depeche Mode albums ranked video. There you can hear me go on a rant about how full of promise the demo version of this song was. A full-on upbeat Depeche banger. The finished version would be included on the CD editions of their single Heaven, as well as a bonus track on the deluxe CD version of Delta Machine. The final release is far more slowed down with a halftime groove. There's a terrific round and throbbing bass line, slightly reminiscent of Enjoy the Silence, and some nice pumping pads after the chorus, plus some great vocals from Dave and harmonies from Martin. But still, that demo. It features the most glorious arpeggios and counter melodies playing off one another, plus this lovely EBO guitar. Then at the 3-minute mark, Dave really lets loose with a passionate vocal delivery. Someone really needs to do an edit combining both of these. At number 13, Surrender. One of those times, a B-side that should have been flipped with a weaker A-side, at least in my opinion. Maybe because its arrangement came out a bit too cabaret, they felt it wasn't driving enough to do well in the charts. You can't deny the chorus of this one and the bluesy guitar slides. I feel it works even better as a Martin-sung ballad, and I prefer hearing Martin singing lead, as heard on the Exciter tour and Martin's solo tour. Only When I Lose Myself CD single featuring Surrender and original vinyl pressing. At number 12, You've Got to Work Hard. And now for something completely different. I have a soft spot for this one, guilty pleasure, whatever you want to call it. I remember growing up and being in the car playing the People Are People compilation cassette, and when the chant of "You've got to work hard, you've got to work hard" came on, my mom turned to us in the back of the car, me and my little brother, and said, "Listen to that message, it's true." Dave Gahan recalled in a German magazine article, quote, "I remember a B-side called Work Hard, which mainly consisted of wood breaking. We ran around with a hammer and toolbox across the junkyards in East London and crashed everything we could find. Gareth Jones had a cassette recorder and a microphone, and we came back into the studio with loud, strange sounds, which we would put into a sampler or into an analog tape and cut it up again and again until a good rhythm finally came out." This is the Everything Counts 12-inch with Work Hard East End mix on the B-side. At number 11, Pleasure Little Treasure. Here we go again with another guilty pleasure, pun intended. I simply cannot talk about this song without talking about ZZ Top. Why? Growing up, this one always made me think of their track Legs. Did you know that ZZ Top's Billy Gibbons is a huge Depeche Mode fan? And the band know about it. Hot take, but is it possible that this was DM's version as a tribute to Legs? Yeah, sure, I know, unlikely, but it's fun to think that they might have paid tribute on this Masses era track, a rare B-side they would rock out live throughout 87 and 88. Call me crazy, but the 16th note pulse in the guitars are forever linked to Legs in my head. On the Glitter Mix version, there's this super trippy outro where you can hear a reverse sample of Fletch saying, "It could probably work," and what sounds like Martin saying, "back to back." Producer Dave Bascom recalls that he had this reverb and he sat there with a remote control, channel surfing through every single effects preset, creating the outro's kaleidoscopic effect. Never Let Me Down Again, 12-inch single, backed with Pleasure Little Treasure Glitter Mix. This one is orange. Japanese pressing with obi strip. Insert. Limited edition 12-inch with the Pleasure Little Treasure Join Mix. At number 10, Flexible. Another guilty pleasure. I swear I didn't mean to combine all these all in a row, honest. I'm sorry, you can't deny this one when it comes on at a Depeche Mode dance party. And if they're playing the remixed extended, that's just next level, with Dave's isolated vocals, like where he goes, "Yeah!" It is these kinds of experiments that B-sides are reserved for. Like, what an absolute bonkers set of instruments on this one. Slap bass, banjo, harmonica, and this pounding, shuffling rhythm. Like, is this Dexy's Midnight Runners? When asked about it in 1985, Martin said, quote, "That song was kind of a joke. After the initial new romantic futurist thing, a lot of bands thought, we can't make it playing this kind of music. So they all went into different trends, salsa, different types of sounds, trying to hit on something that might be successful. Flexible was us trying to combine all these jokey styles." Yep, definitely Dexy's Midnight Runners. Maxi single with remix extended Flexible. Special edition of Shake the Disease with the Flexible pre-deportation mix. Spanish pressing, Edición Especial. And Shake the Disease, Platinum Farbigam vinyl. At number 9, Happiest Girl I Ever Knew. There are so many great Violator era B-sides. Happiest Girl's bass line has a very similar vibe during some of its notes to World in My Eyes when I hear it. It's a perfect pairing both musically and thematically with both another B-side, which we're going to talk about soon, and its corresponding A-side. Alan Wilder commented that, quote, "For a long time, Happiest Girl was in the runnings to be on Violator, but we left it off when we eventually conceded it wasn't strong enough." Am I the only one that hears some Danny Elfmanisms in the minor key ascending melody that comes in after several sections? World in My Eyes limited edition. This one you had to violate by snipping it open to get to the actual record. And it's got the Happiest Girl pulsating orbital mix. Inner sleeve. And number 8, Memphisto. Speaking of Danny Elfman, the strings and choir-like ah sounds on this one are forever linked with sections of the Edward Scissorhands and Batman Returns soundtracks for me. Same era, what can I say? When asked about this track by the press, the band would say, "We like cinema and we like to create a special atmosphere with our music." In a way, Memphisto is our homage to that esoteric cinema. Martin would add that the title was, quote, "the name of a make-believe film I invented about Elvis as the devil." This is a deliciously dark instrumental that again features some of the same emulator sounds that Alan programmed on its flip A-side Enjoy the Silence, cleverly linking the two. CD maxi single. Original 12-inch. At number 7, I have Sea of Sin. Another B-side from World in My Eyes and another perfect pairing. Sea of Sin is a wonderfully sexy dance floor track featuring an incredible sampled rhythm section and this awesome delayed and panned wah guitar sound that comes in during its second verse. This would probably be the danciest the mode would get, with some excellent layered rhythm effects coming in during its outro section. Years later, fans would ponder if self-proclaimed Depeche Mode fans Bloodhound Gang's The Ballad of Chasey Lane was intentional in its repurposing of both the chords and vocal melody from Sea of Sin. Check it out for yourself. What do you think? Maxi single, UK 12-inch. Belgian press. Love that center label. At number 6, Agent Orange. Probably my favorite Depeche instrumental. Love listening to it solo, but Agent Orange and Nothing to Fear make a great pairing. What a dark and foreboding track, but with the light of that piano melody guiding you through. The effects of the intro and outro for some reason always remind me of interlude number 3, the instrumental that plays between Blue Dress and Clean on Violator. On the other hand, the dial tone effects towards the end really tie it in with other Masses era tracks such as To Have and To Hold. I remember banging out this one on a dodgy Yamaha keyboard in high school for hours, just improvising on its beautiful core melody. I'm gonna link Von George's excellent piano improv to this one, certainly worth a watch. I don't know what inspired them to leave this one vocal free, but it stands out as unique within the Music for the Masses era. Strangelove CD maxi single, limited edition vinyl, backed with Agent Orange. All right, getting into the top 5, I have Ice Machine. Going way, way back to the Darkroom scene, their first ever B-side from their first ever single. In its earliest form, in a 1980 demo, Fletch can be heard playing bass guitar and Dave shouting, the Ice Machine" at the end of the song. To me, this one stands as a top-tier classic of the New Romantic era, right up there with Visage's Fade to Grey. It's soaked in drama, triumphant, the strangest lyrics delivered over this 4-note rising synth melody. Check out Roy Scott's cover of it if you haven't heard it. We'll also link below. Original 1981 Dreaming of Me 7-inch single, backed with Ice Machine. At number 4, Now This Is Fun. How did this not end up on a broken frame? According to Fletch, this song, which had the working title Reason to Be, was a result of them trying to sound, quote, really mean. Didn't work though. A staple of their tours from 82 through 84, at first listen this song might sound a little throwaway. But upon further listen, several deliciously dark elements reveal themselves that would continue to develop throughout their sound in the 1980s. It's also possibly the only time I can recall Depeche sounding so wistful. The descending bell-like melody has such a complex blend of happy-sad, and with a bit more development, this one might have hit the same heights as the Sun in the Rainfall. I've mentioned it before, but there's this fantastic cover of Now This Is Fun by Greek synth-pop duo Marceau. We'll also link. Original CU 7-inch single, backed with Now This Is Fun. CU 12-inch, backed with Now This Is Fun Extended, Platt im Farbigen vinyl. One of my favorite Depeche splatters. Top 3. My Joy. This song, like Happiest Girl previously destined for Violator, was planned to make it onto Songs of Faith and Devotion, but Alan stated that again, they didn't think it was strong enough. Some have argued My Joy should have been swapped with Get Right With Me, and it has no business being a B-side. Featuring the hilarious line, I'm not a mountain, no, you move me. My Joy features some of the same terrific sampled bits of real drums, as well as bass guitar performance, and these dense, carefully layered synth sounds as the rest of So Fad. Perhaps the production is a little underdeveloped, but I'm sure had they have kept it in the running, it would have hit the same stellar heights as Mercy in You and In Your Room. I think the rhythm and lead guitar work on it are exceptional, particularly the double track guitar solo that comes in during the middle. The crescendo that things hit in the final minute between the strings, Dave's and Martin's vocals, and these percussive siren-like synth wails is just chef's kiss. Walking in My Shoes CD maxi single. Original Walking in My Shoes 12-inch, backed with My Joy. And number 2, Dangerous. And here we go again. Countless fans have pondered why this one was robbed of its place on Violator. We'll get to that in a moment. Released on the Personal Jesus single some 6.5 months before Violator, this fan favorite sounds like it belongs in a time between Masses and Violator, borrowing a bit from both eras. Love the intro gated breathing sample and this subtle minor key percussive part playing during the chorus. The second verse brings in some vintage Masses era brassy melody, and the outro with its layered vocals and strings always makes me think of a foggy city scene in an old spy movie. Yeah, sure, some say it could have fit before or after Personal Jesus. To me, Dangerous is a perfect accompaniment to its A-side, but had it have been on Violator, it would have completely messed up the flow of that album. And in terms of Violator's themes, it doesn't sound quite right in the context at all. Plus, with Personal Jesus getting released so early, the label was hoping it was gonna be a smash, and having a really strong B-side would have kept it in the charts through word of mouth. Love it, but keep it where it is. CD maxi single of Personal Jesus. Cassette single. Original 12-inch. Backed with Dangerous. Love that center label. Limited edition 12-inch. And my number one, but not tonight. Maybe controversial, maybe obvious, but this is my favorite Depeche Mode B-side. And not just me. This song has touched so many fans. Evidently, the band thought very little of it at the time, relegating it as B-side to their upcoming single Stripped. Their American label Sire decided to not release their new A-side single Stripped, thinking it was not commercial enough, and flipped the songs, putting out But Not Tonight after getting it featured on the soundtrack to the film Modern Girls. Martin would protest, telling them Stripped took 9 days mixing and God knows how long recording, whereas But Not Tonight was produced and mixed in 3 hours. In 2019, Dennis McNamara from WLIR 92.7 radio recalls, quote, "Martin Gore once complained to me that Depeche Mode had to put this song on the Black Celebration album in the US because we played it so much that it became so popular that they were told they would be crazy not to put it on the album. So they put it on as the last song and the rest is history. I've heard no complaints from him since." I want to share this amazing story from fan Craig McGrath, writing for his Depeche Mode Facebook page takeover. Quote, "While A&Ring a remix compilation, I stumbled across a demo of But Not Tonight with Martin Gore's vocals. It then hit me that the only way they might perform it live would be if Martin did it as an acoustic version. It'd also be a heck of a way to impress my wife. I plotted to create a piano version and get it to Martin. With the help of my friend Brian, we created a slowed down version which is vocals and piano. Fortunately, he was DJing at an annual holiday charity event in Santa Barbara a few weeks later, so I honed in on my opportunity. After the DJ gig, we were talking and I gave him a USB drive with the warning, 'You may not want anyone to hear this.' When he left, I figured the odds were slim he'd check it out, but it was worth a shot. In March 2013, I went to South by Southwest for the kickoff of the Delta Machine album launch. After a great set at Brazos Hall, we went up to the roof for the after party. I approached Martin and before I could get a word out, he smiled and said, 'You gave me the drive in Santa Barbara. I think it's great and we may play it on tour.' I couldn't believe it. Needless to say, my anticipation for the tour rose to new heights, and when the band announced a special LA show at the Troubadour, I knew I had to be there. Halfway through the set, Martin walked out for his solo song, and as the opening chords of But Not Tonight rang out, the crowd and I lost it. The joy in the room was overwhelming, and to hear the crowd sing along was a feeling I'll never forget. After the gig, I managed to grab a set list and hurried next door for the after show. I managed to get Dave, Fletch, who said But Not Tonight was one of his favorite songs, and Martin to sign the set list. Martin laughed while signing it and said, "I told you we'd play it." What is it about this song that has endured, and not just in America, but with fans across the world? I think it's got some of the same feeling as There Is a Light That Never Goes Out by the Smiths. Lyrically, it's a coming-of-age celebration for introverts and outsiders that tonight, maybe just for this one night, everything's gonna go your way. It's that moment where you see a faint glimmer of optimism, of being happy and satisfied, feeling alive and not weighed down by your life's usual drudgery. I think we've all had those nights and can identify with this feeling. Only a genius like Martin could write something that manages to be this inspiring, yet so dark at the same time. Stripped CD maxi single, original stripped 12-inch mix. Love that embossed cover. And from America, Sire pressing of But Not Tonight, backed with Stripped. So, that's my list. Obviously, Depeche Mode have more terrific B-sides and I couldn't cover everything. I know some people love Fools, Free, In Your Memory, Set Me Free, Remotivate Me. There's so many. I'm sorry if one of your favorites was not covered. You're welcome to lambaste me down in the comments, but also let me know, what would your ranking list be? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm planning more interesting and diverse Depeche Mode content over the next year, so consider subscribing so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching. You can see more of my videos right here. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys in the next one.